So Andrew has a question. Could you elaborate a little more on the scalability of proposed endeavor across the US? What elements need to be included in the endeavor to address scalability, creating jobs for Americans?
It's a good question, and I'll tell you, USCIS doesn't know the answer. We don't know the answer. Nobody knows the answer to this question because it's not defined in any of the policy or law. There's no requirement for scalability. There's no requirement for scope or impact, just that there has to be some scope or some impact. So you have to build an argument, but there are some officers who will say that you need to have substantially expanded knowledge in your field or industry in order to qualify for this national importance. There are some officers that say you need to have actually created jobs in order to meet this. Then there are other officers that say you just need to be advancing some important goal. And that is, I think, the correct standard. Like, that's what the policy manual seems designed to promote. It's definitely allowed in the Danisar opinion. It's not contradicted in law anywhere. But officers have different standards. And the frustrating thing is they aren't going to tell you what those standards are because they're not really allowed to have their own individual standards. They're not allowed to create standards. And so they just imply that there is a greater standard than there actually is. So it's not really about meeting a mark. It's just about taking your work and impacting it as far out as you can. Being reasonable, of course. You have to be reasonable, but showing USCIS how the effects of what you do impact your field or your industry or impact the US economy or advance national goals. And the more impact you can show, the better your chance is of getting this approved under NIW. I'll also add, creating jobs is not a requirement. It's it's something that the Danisar decision said USCIS should take into account. So it's always a very good thing if you can show that you're creating jobs, but it's not a requirement.